Coming up on today's Cowboys Report, we'll break down why the Cowboys' second-round selection, Donovan Ezeiruaku, has not yet signed his rookie contract, and why that's not actually worth freaking out, the same way it might be if it were a normal offseason. Before we get into that, we are kind of days away now from training camp. If you are excited, show it by liking today's video, please and thank you. As mentioned, Donovan Ezeiruaku, the second-round selection, is unsigned. He is the only Cowboys draft pick who has yet to agree to the terms of his rookie scale contract, which in most cases doesn't really have a lot to hem and haw and disagree over, but something has emerged in a unique situation this year. Now, Cowboys training camp gets going on July 22nd, and you'd like to have all your draft picks signed by them. I don't think there's any actual threat of a holdout. You could always just simply sign the waiver like he did for OTAs and minicamp, but this is at least worth watching as we get closer and closer to that date. So far, 2 second-round picks. That's it. Carson Schwesinger, the linebacker out of UCLA, to the Cleveland Browns, and Jayden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State, to the Houston Texans, are the only second-rounders unsigned. The other 30 have not yet agreed to contracts officially. What is unique about the deals those two players signed is that they are fully guaranteed, which has not happened before for a second-round selection. Houston started this. They gave Jayden Higgins at pick 34 a fully guaranteed contract. The agents and players and PA finally chipped away and got that included on a deal. And then not long after that, the Browns give it to Carson Schwesinger because, well, if pick 34 got it, we'll give it to you as well at 33 and not have a potential actual holdout in that scenario. So now the guaranteed money for all second-round picks is an issue. Rookie contracts are fully guaranteed for first-rounders. They hadn't been fully guaranteed for second-rounders. Now you can have some negotiations about what the amount of guaranteed money is. For reference, the Cowboys took Marshawn Kneeland, pick 56, in last year's NFL draft. His guaranteed money was just the first 2 years. Luke Schoonmaker, actually going back to 2023, was just the first 2 years. That one was at pick number 58. Of note, which is even probably more impactful from what the Cowboys have done, Jackson Powers-Johnson was pick number 44 in last year's draft. Same pick as Donovan Ezeiruaku. He had his first 3 years guaranteed, plus, of course, the signing bonus stuff. For additional background and information, the draft pick guaranteed amounts in that 2024 class. This is at pick number 42, Kamari Lassiter. He had his first 3 years guaranteed and parts of his 2027 salary. Max Melton had the exact same thing. Jackson Powers had his first 3 years guaranteed. Then the next pick, Edgerrin Cooper, just part of 2026. And then the next pick, Jonathan Brooks, only had the first 2 years guaranteed, and then it stuck with the 2-and-2 model after that. Now, we'll break down how this all impacts Ezeiruaku here and what the timeline looks like. But did you like that pick? Because I sure did. Y for yes, N for no, sound off with the pinned comment of today's show. You've seen some discussion on the 2-and-2 model. That still works for later round 2 picks. But if you're in the first 15-ish picks of round 2, it's kind of already dead. Some have been getting their 3rd years guaranteed. Some have been getting partial guarantees in the 3rd year. Some partial 4th year guarantees. I would anticipate that Donovan Ezeiruaku, with the way his contract is set up, gets that 3rd year guaranteed with where he was drafted. When Jackson Powers-Johnson got it last year, I think he gets the 3rd year guaranteed, fully guaranteed. Maybe not the 4th year. There is a lot of things to figure out with the picks in front of him, as we'll get into. Now, I believe that would be new for Dallas. I don't think Kelvin Joseph, this was a couple years ago, it's been chipped away at overall with the rookie scale. I don't think Kelvin Joseph had a fully guaranteed or 3rd year fully guaranteed. And Ezeiruaku's camp is fully like, let's just wait. Like, we're not going to take the current offer of maybe it's a 3rd year guaranteed, maybe it's not. Let's let the other picks in front of him sign. And objectively, that is the right thing to do here. And the Cowboys, not much you can do. You are kind of going to let the other set the market. You're certainly not going to give him the 4th year guarantee. There's no reason to do that. So you kind of just have nothing to complain about. You just got to wait. I'm not upset at all with the Cowboys here. They have done nothing wrong. Ezraku's camp has done nothing wrong. This is Houston's fault, damn it. So now it's just a waiting game of, okay, let's see how things play out here. And I do think that game ends pretty soon. In fact, you could kind of start to get some traction in a week, if not less. Before we get to that, this Cowboys hoodie is on sale. I know it's hot, especially if you're living in Texas, but you can stock and prep your winter fall wardrobe now with this dope Cowboys hoodie. Was $90, now it's just $54. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Cowboys hoodie. First up, the Chargers are set to report in the very distant future. They actually report on July 12th, and Trey Harris, pick number 55 overall. Does he just kind of take what the previous stuff was and not worry too much about raising the bar previously? It's possible. More impactful, potentially, the 49ers have rookies report on July 15th, about a week before the Cowboys report. They took Alfred Collins one spot before Ezeiruaku. And whatever Collins got, you know Ezeiruaku's not going to get more than that in almost every case. So if he kind of signs his deal early, that would give you a good benchmark for what Ezeiruaku's going to get in terms of the 3rd/4th year guarantees. I think you're going to get some traction here soon. And I think that makes the Cowboys planning easier. I have criticized them many a time for not being proactive with contracts. This is one where you can't actually be proactive. You have to let the stuff in front of you play out. That's fine. This is not, if we beat the Bills to sign 41, we might get a better deal. No, you're just not going to. You might get a worse deal, actually, so you're better off just waiting. Nick Emmanwori in the Seahawks is kind of the next, breaking point here. What do they do? 33 and 34 were fully guaranteed. Does 35 get it fully guaranteed? Because then the Browns are going to, Junkins is going to ask for it. Does he get it? The Savanaia? At some point, a player's not going to get it fully guaranteed. And I think the Seahawks are going to try hard to not do that. Maybe they give some partial 4th-year guarantees. And then you get this kind of snowball cascading effect real quick where things get figured out. Look, it's all about leverage. And when it comes to contract talks. And leverage doesn't really exist for rookies or agents. They don't have that much of it. It's a rookie contract scale. It's pretty straightforward. I think the rest of the NFL is mad at Houston. I mean, you already had the league collude against Lamar Jackson and others to bring down guaranteed money, and Houston said, sure, pick 34, fully guaranteed deal. They just gave it to him immediately. So now this starts with, okay, what does Seattle do at 35? Do they cave? Do they not cave? That one, there's a chance, because it's the next pick, could have maybe some drama. We'll see. I think by the time it gets to the 44 and the Cowboys, problem solved. Shuck at 40 might have a little bit of extra leverage because he's a quarterback. He might be able to argue, I'm your guy. You should pay me a little bit more, guaranteed money. You trust me, right? That's one worth monitoring at least. We'll break it down Ezeiruaku more in depth here, but we are a little over 700 subs away from 218,000. Hit that sub button for me right now. So big picture, because this isn't impacting Ezeiruaku at all on the field. He's done all the stuff. He's been involved. He signed the waiver. It's all good. Ezeiruaku was one of my favorite draft picks. But he's still a rookie second rounder. And I think we should temper the expectations. Well, I've done the social media poll. How many sacks for Donovan Ezeiruaku this year? And it was 10. I'm okay, but really though? Jared Verse had 5. I think a rotational pass rusher who shows flashes, looks like a long-term piece, who we're excited about, he's not all the way there yet. He was a rookie, but for a second round, he was really impactful. That's what you want. I don't think that means 10 sacks. Be happy if it happened. If you get me a few, you can get me pressures, get me some quarterback hits, can you see him making an impact on the game on 3rd downs opposite Micah Parsons? Sweet. That is a good outcome for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, with that in mind, how many sacks do you think Donovan Ezeiruaku has this year? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. A reminder of where I had Ezeiruaku graded. He was my 6th edge, and he was a second-round pick. I had a second-round grade on him. But he was one of my best available players when the Cowboys were on the clock at pick 44. I had him at 28th overall. I thought he was going to go round 1. I think his overall pass rush bag is really impressive. The athletic traits are there as well, even though he's not that big. I think his plan has to be improved. I want him to develop a true go-to move. it's great when you're able to do all these different things and be able to get pressures that way, but I want a bit of a more consistent plan overall. But he was dominant last year at Boston College. 21 TFLs, 16.5 sacks. I would not be surprised if this time next year we're talking about Micah Parsons on a new long-term deal. The Cowboys let Dante Fowler walk again, and we are hyped about Ezeiruaku being the number 2 pass rusher, with Marshawn Nealon being kind of a contributable role player as like a run-stopping, base-setting edge, which this team is light on because it's not really Easy's role either. I am excited about him long-term, and eventually that deal will get done.